His
his first thing, they brought the lands minister. First one. They said, produce all the documents on the
land
acquisition.
Land alienation.
Yes.
So now you are in a position to deal with him directly. So there was a showdown?
We only did
mini showdown.
We only did
So what happened? What happened? Tell us about that. What was it about?
Yeah. So as the Assurances Committee requires under Order 225 of our standing orders, we pursue assurances that have been delivered to Parliament. Okay. And now our mandate has been broadened. Okay. So that's why it's no longer government assurances, but it's just Assurances Committee.
Oh, it's assurances.
Assurances. Okay. Because now we have the power to go beyond ministers. Okay. So we can invite all heads of government agencies.
But are they not assurances made to or in Parliament?
Yes, to Parliament. So to either plenary or to a committee of the House. And in the particular instance of the lands minister, more than 2.5 years ago, we had demanded a full list of all public lands that have been disposed of. We wanted to know who they were sold to, the cost, and then what is left of our public lands.
Over which period?
The question was from 2017 to date. As at the time he appeared before us. That was in February 2022. However, he generously offered to provide the list from 1993. He says he wants to give us a full picture of the Fourth Republic, which we all welcomed. And the Speaker ruled that he should submit that. At the time, he claimed that because it was a few months into the reconfiguration of the regions, 6 regions had been added. They were now creating the various regional lands commissions at those new regions. He needed time. It's been more than 2 years, and that list has not been provided. And considering the current national discussion about state capture, the agitations all over, and we've seen the demonstrations by the GA chiefs, the La chiefs, youth groups. You saw the recent one by the coalition of organized labor and the minority caucus on state capture. We thought that it was absolutely crucial that that list is provided. Unfortunately, the lands minister once again disappointed and said that because of matters to do with poor record keeping and the manual system that they use, they have not been able to complete the task. But we have given him a last window up to the end of the tenure of this Parliament to provide the list. Because as we all know, under the Ghanaian Constitution, all public lands are vested in the President on our behalf. He holds them in trust on our behalf. And it is also important to emphasize that the Lands Commission is supposed to manage these public lands on our behalf, advise the President, the Lands Minister, on the management of these lands and how to make sure that they are secured in the national interest and for the public good. We have an instance now where the Lands Commission appears complicit in a lot of the public lands that are being sold and that are being lost. Indeed, I read the intercepted Bulgarian embassy demolition report to the minister, where a lands commissioner told Justice Oforiatta, the sole inquirer, that public lands are being registered as private lands, and that they were also worried at the rate at which we are losing public lands. You know, and then I told the minister that, look, these are frightening developments, and we cannot continue like this, where people have a mandate, and if under the Constitution the president must be protecting all of these lands on our behalf, and the president doesn't know, because from what is going on, the president doesn't even know, doesn't have an accurate picture, accurate records, unless, as the committee raised at the hearings, unless it is deliberate not to be transparent, not to provide this information, you know, which also is problematic and very worrying. So it is absolutely crucial that we get this list. It is only through transparency when public officials, all those are the Lands Commission, you know, and I've been totally outraged at some of the cases going on. You have, for example, the prisons land. The Ghana Prison Service is in court, now supported by the Interior Minister when he came to Parliament, trying to protect the Boston Institute lands. Then you have the Lands Commission, appointees of this same president, go to court and provide evidence against the Ghana Prison Service, in writing, that so far as they are concerned, the land has been sold to Professor Apiedu, the senior advisor to Dr. Bawumia. Lands Commission. Then there's the other case of the Parks and Gardens land in Wa, where local government minister comes to Parliament, tells us that per their records, it is still Parks and Gardens land managed by the Parks and Gardens Department, an agency under their ministry. And yet, Lands Commission writes that they have done rezoning. Meanwhile, under our laws, particularly the LUSPA law, the Lands Commission has no business doing rezoning. And they say they have offered the land to a private developer to construct a fuel filling station. Now, the local government minister has made a pledge to Parliament based on our insistence that he's going to demolish the fuel filling station. Based on what the Lands Commission has done, the private developer feels emboldened. He goes to court, injuncting the local government minister from carrying out a parliamentary directive of clearing that construction out of the way and preserving our Parks and Gardens lands. And there are many instances, you know, all over the place where there's just chaos, you know, where public lands are just being sold for cheap, you know. And I've told the minister, we have intercepted our own list. We have an idea. If they continue to delay, we'll be compelled to publish what we have intercepted.
So what was the minister's response, and how did the meeting end?
So the minister was unable to provide the list. He says that they are still compiling because of the manual system and all of that they operate. This is not a digital Lands Commission, lands tenure system. And so they will need more time. I mean, and in the minister's response to Parliament 2.5 years ago, he told us that even before our question, the president had asked him to provide a full list of public lands about a year prior, which has not been done. They can't do it. So how do you convince me that this is not a deliberate attempt by those who are managing our lands not to be transparent, not to provide the full list?
So what was the conclusion?
So the conclusion is that he must come back with a full list by close of this tenure.
Close of this tenure?
Yes.
Being January 5th,
yes.
2025?
Yes, because he said it's an enormous undertaking and they are really struggling to put all of it together.
So a friend who watched the proceedings had two suggestions.
Okay.
That one, why won't you face it? And let's say start first of all, give us Greater Accra. Mm-hmm. We'll start off with maybe Greater Accra, then we'll look at Ashanti, then we'll probably look at Western. Another view that he also held was that why don't we focus on when the Accra redevelopment policy started, 1999 or so, and look at, because many people believe that under the guise of that policy, a lot of things have happened. So why don't you also, for example, zero in on the Accra redevelopment policy, which then would then focus on, let's say, Accra, and it will be easier to get that information, whilst the way to compile their national data or records for you. I don't know what you make of this.
This came up strongly at the committee. Mind you, the original question was a more narrower scope.
Yes.
But then the minister decided...
That's more regime specific.
Yes, the minister decided to broaden it. And we said no problem. Because, as I said at the committee proceedings, if we insist that it should be narrowed to just 2017, it will create the impression that one political tradition doesn't want to be accountable.
In fact, it's partisan.
Yes, we want to hide our record, which will not be good. This matter must be pursued with a national approach. You know, it should not be a partisan, you know, any attempt to engage in.
2017.
It was the Honorable Kwame Abuja in 2021. So the resolution of the committee is that let's have everything from 1993. However, we added a caveat that you can bring them in bits. So whatever you find now, let's have it. But you see, this whole development must be very alarming to all of us. It must be very alarming. If you look at Article 257 of the Constitution, it says that all public lands in Ghana shall be vested in the president on behalf of and in trust for the people of Ghana. Then Article 2581 provides that there shall be established a lands commission which shall, in coordination with the relevant public agencies and governmental bodies, perform the following functions. On behalf of the government, manage public lands and any other lands vested in the president by this constitution or by any other law or any lands vested in the commission. So this is your constitutional mandate. What are you managing? How are you being good trustees on our behalf if you don't have the records? If you can't tell us the situation with our public lands, what is left? How many have been sold or leased or disposed of? You can't tell us. For more than 3 years now, if you add when the president requested that you put this compilation together. And yet, on a daily basis, we see the public lands being sold. We intercept letters of civil servants being told to leave their bungalows, that their bungalows have been sold to private developers. Judges have given us copies of eviction letters, leave. The latest one is the Roman Ridge flats. They have been told to leave, that private developers are taking over in the name of Accra redevelopment policy. So how come that when it comes to selling, you know, when it is time to dispose of these public lands, you know where they are, you can find them easily. But when we ask for the records, it is such a Herculean task. It becomes so impossible, you know, to get the records. It's not acceptable. And as we have indicated, the Assurances Committee will take and continue to take a very serious view of this matter, and will pursue the Minister for Lands, because it is his mandate under Article 2582. Because if you look at Article 2582, it says the Minister responsible for lands and natural resources may, with the approval of the President, give general directions in writing to the Lands Commission on matters of policy in respect of the functions of the Commission, and the Commission shall comply with the directions. So if you have such, you know, a totally broken down system where we can't be told what public lands we have, Minister gives a directive to Lands Commission, they are not complying, the Constitution is being violated, those who are supposed to be managing these lands on our behalf, the Lands Commission, can't tell us what the situation is. It's really pathetic, you know, and we cannot accept this situation.